let's talk about all the books I read in May and all my thoughts on them, whether I think they were worth it and all of that. Finally, I feel like I'm out of a reading slump. May really did it for me. Honestly though, I didn't even read that many good books. I just felt like I wanted to read again, and that's what had me feeling like the slump was over. I read a total of 6 books, and then I also had 1 DNF. 5 of those are romantasy, 1 was romance, and 1 was dystopian romance. In order of everything I read, I started off the month with Furybound, which was an anticipated read for me. Direbound is one of my favorite books of all time. I loved it so much. I read it in a day. I think it was so much fun and so good and really gripped me as a story. I technically gave Furybound 4 stars, but the more I think on it, the less I liked it. I think my love of book 1 was really clouding me. I was constantly telling myself I liked this, I'm enjoying it, it's just as good, it's so much fun, it's got the same level of intensity as book 1. But honestly, I think I was just telling myself these things. I wasn't feeling it, but I just was like, this is one of my favorite books of all time. I can't not enjoy the sequel to the same level. But after I've sat on my thoughts for a while, I'm doing myself a disservice if I force myself to like books. Now, I'm still excited for book 3. I'm still excited to read it. I think it could still be as good as book 1. Middle book syndrome is a thing that exists, and so I'm just hoping that's what happened. I feel like the romance really let me down, and that's the hardest part. I feel like I was promised a slow burn romance in this first book, and then within the first 50 pages, they're all over each other, they're in love, they're just constantly thinking about sleeping together, and there was none of that tension and banter and like yearning that I love from book 1, like the little snippets of them. I feel like our love interest kind of lost his voice, and then I feel like this book is doing too much, honestly. It's a trilogy, and I feel like it could have been a 5-book series, just with everything that happens in book 2, all the setup we're doing. I feel like books 1 to 2 could have been 1, 2 to 3 and had an arc of something, and then we could have had a secondary arc that was set up in the end of book 2. But I love long series. I'm always gonna be like, I want more time with my characters, the world, and everything. 5-book series really are like peak for me, in my opinion. So I just don't know. I have really conflicted feelings on this one, but I am still excited to continue and hopefully love book 3. The sequels were really just letting me down, because after that I picked up The Sea Spinner, which I DNF'd. This was my DNF for the month. I loved The Wind Weaver. I think I was one of the first people I saw like screaming about it on social media. I loved our fire daddy that we got. I loved the found family. I loved this take down the system battle that was starting to be formed and this prophecy around these 4 elementals. I DNF'd this about 30% in, and honestly, I was still in a reading slump at this point. I wasn't really wanting to read between Furybound and this. I think I'm going to keep this book. I think I'm actually going to still purchase the special edition from Fairyloot to match The Wind Weaver, because I'm wondering if it was just wrong timing for me. I also was listening to the audiobook, which I wasn't really enjoying. I physically read the first book. I did not listen to the audiobook. I think the narrator for the audiobook was really making me not like Soren in this, who I did really enjoy in book 1. So I do think I want to try this story again. I think I want to give it another shot, so I'm not going to try it before the Fairyloot edition goes on sale, so I think I'm just going to get that and hope for the best and hope I love book 3. Again, I hope it's middle book syndrome. Of course, I didn't finish this, but it's a soft DNF. It's not a hard DNF, and hopefully I will love this when I get to it closer to the release date of book 3, I think, so that I can like binge my way through. This is where the magic happened, because I sat down and I did a 24-hour readathon across an entire weekend. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I just had to read for 24 hours across that weekend, and I really had a lot of fun doing that, and I feel like it's what led me to getting kind of my like vibe back and wanting to read again. And in that weekend readathon, I picked up Beneath, which I gave 5 stars and is currently my favorite book of the year. This was absolutely amazing, incredible. This is a dystopian romance. I have been screaming about this so much, wanting everyone to pick it up. This follows Earth after nuclear fallout. The world cannot be lived upon anymore. We're only 6 years actually after this fallout. So we're living inside these bunkers underground. But the thing is, these bunkers were not made to last and resources are starting to run out. So we have a team that goes on secret missions essentially to the outside to see if anything changes, to gather more resources and things like that. However, it's really dangerous. And so So the squad leader decides he wants a medic because he cares about his team. They're not expendable. And he tracks down our main character who does not want to help them. She's got a lot of trauma. Like, this is only 6 years after the fallout of the world ending, essentially. So she's got PTSD. She's dealing with a lot of grief. She doesn't want to care about people anymore, but he's going to force her to care about his squad to keep them alive. They're such good found family. The characters in this were everything. I was so emotionally attached to this entire story, every storyline. I can't wait to see what happens next in this world. So incredibly obsessed and excited, and I literally love our book boyfriend in this. He's amazing. So I hope everyone else loves Tristan as much as I did. He's also not your typical book boyfriend. So I think that a lot of people will find him very refreshing. I also read Bloodbound in this 24-hour readathon. This is a story about friendship, female friendship specifically. It's not sapphic. We follow 2 female main characters, so I think a lot of people do think it's sapphic, but it's a story about their friendship. Honestly, I do think this book would have been better sapphic, but I also did like the romance that we did get in it. It's also a dragon fantasy, and I don't think there was enough dragons. I gave this one 3 stars, but I actually do recommend it. I had a good time with it still. I think I will pick up the sequel. The twist at the end of this was like nothing I could have predicted personally, and it has me intrigued to see where we're gonna go in this world. I think this was just a fun time read. It wasn't like a read that I'm gonna think about forever or like ever be on a favorites list, but I enjoyed it and I had a lot of fun. We have 2 POVs in this. Our first POV is a princess, and these kingdoms used to be at war, and then they made like a treaty together, and what that entails is the firstborn heir of both of their kingdoms every generation has to battle to the death, and whoever wins ends up ruling the entire like continent until the next generation comes of age to battle. So we follow one character who's an heir to one of these kingdoms, and she is going into her battle to the death. And then we have a second character who is living on the streets and just kind of fending for herself when her best friend goes missing. She thinks the army has taken him because he has a magical ability that he's been hiding, and she goes on a search to find him. Now, of course, their paths are going to cross and it's going to become more elaborated than that. And I just had a lot of fun. I don't really have much to say about this book. I can't like recommend it, but I can't not recommend it. I don't know. I think that if it sounds interesting, pick it up. Most of our book club liked it. I don't think anyone loved it. No one was giving it 5 stars, but we all found it interesting. The other book I started in the 24-hour readathon was Clockwork Angel, and then I finished this in another week, and then I also read Clockwork Prince, so I'm going to talk about both of them because I feel like I have very similar thoughts. I gave them both roughly 3 stars. I probably could have lowered it also. I personally don't love this series. I'm so sad because I had heard that Infernal Devices was a god tier series of Cassandra Clare's universe. I really think that it falls flat after reading the Mortal Instruments. I don't think these characters stand up to the Mortal Instruments characters. I thought Tessa was boring. I thought Will and Jem are boring. I don't know. I really didn't care about any of the characters. It probably doesn't help that this is set in old time London, and it's very much like women have a place. Women aren't meant to do anything. Women are just meant off to be married and blah, 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 blah. Although we're trying to fight against that like conversation within the Shadowhunter universe, I think we kind of failed at that within our main character. I feel like she just didn't have enough agency for me. She didn't feel like she was fighting it enough. She didn't feel like she was trying to go into battle and fight things. And then there's a love triangle that I just really didn't care about. I don't think that any of them have chemistry. So overall, I just really didn't enjoy this one because I don't love the characters, but I love the Shadowhunter universe. So I think that that has been carrying me through. I like seeing crossover characters and all those things. Another thing that I think made the series suffer is having read it so closely to the Mortal Instruments, because I just read those for the first time. And essentially both of these series, you follow a character who's brand new to the Shadowhunter universe, and they have to like learn the entire universe for the first time. And it's done in both of these so that you could read them independently, which I do like. However, because I read them so close back to back, I was like, I had just read all this. I had just learned all of this already. So it was honestly like kind of boring, because for the first entire book of Clockwork Angel, we're just relearning everything I had just learned. But if this was like your first entry into the Shadowhunter universe, I see how that would be so useful, and I like that you can read these without having read any of the other ones. And I'm worried that's going to be an issue with me through all of the series moving forward. I'm hopeful that the next series will still work for me because it follows a character who is already a Shadowhunter. So although we have to relearn it, it doesn't feel like the exact same setup to me. But the setup of this and the Mortal Instruments, like a main character who's looking for a family member and stumbles across the Shadowhunter universe, like they're so same to me. It just really didn't work for me. me. So I'm sad by this. I really, really am. And then I ended my month off with a contemporary romance. I watched Off Campus season 1 and I really enjoyed it. And I wanted to know more about these characters. I wanted to feel more a part of this universe. So I picked up the first book in this series and I read The Deal. I ended up giving this 4 stars. Honestly, could be a 3-star, but it was just like right timing. And I think with the TV show, I was so invested into the storyline. They're not canon, like the TV show is not canon, but I think the vibes fit. And I kind of liked exploring the differences between both of them. I really enjoyed that. I thought that there were some changes that were well made in the TV show to fit that kind of media. I love fake dating. It's one of my favorite things to read. I just love forced proximity and it forces them together. It forces them to have like good moments and like learn about each other and laugh. So I wasn't actually surprised that I liked this. However, the fact that it is a hockey romance and I liked it did kind of surprise me. I thought this would hit a little bit too close to home. I thought I would hate the portrayal of hockey boys because I was expecting them to be like super sweet and how women write romance and people. And like, in my opinion, growing up in Canada, dating hockey boys, being around a bunch of hockey boys, I expected a certain type of man. And I do think that Off Campus did it really well while still making it like men that I would date. Like, I obviously am dating a hockey boy. Nick played hockey not well, but like he did. And so I do think I saw still the comedy and the like bromances and stuff like that in this. And so I was really happy with that because I was just worried that I was going to be like, this is not working for me because like this is not hockey enough, you know? But I did really enjoy it. I had a lot of fun. I will probably continue on in the series, although I think I'm gonna skip The Mistake. I thought I was gonna read The Mistake. I put it on my TBR, but the more I'm looking into it, I actually think that I should just skip it and go to book 3 because I don't like second chances. I don't really like Logan as a character and so many more things. And so I've talked to a couple people and lots of people have said it's the weakest in the series. So I might come back to it when Logan's series comes out in the TV show. I also was thinking about maybe holding off on reading book 3 until the TV show comes out again, because that is season 2, because I had a really good time kind of reading them and watching them interchangeably. It worked really well. I liked seeing the changes and stuff. So I'm like, maybe I will hold off and read them as the show comes out because I do think I had a lot of fun with it that way. So I'm unsure yet, but I had a really good time and I really liked Hannah as a character. I thought she was quirky. I thought she was fun. I liked how she was like just herself. I feel like she had a lot of like really authentic personality and it reminded me of myself a lot. Having a good time. I'm very excited that I broke my reading slump with this month because I've been reading like 3, maybe 4 books a month and like forcing myself to read. And I read 5, 6 counting a DNF, and technically I'm halfway through another book that I started in May as well. And so it just felt like I didn't have to force myself to read. And that is a really, really good feeling. So happy to have my reading back, that's for sure.